which is kind of
Really?
interesting. Yeah. Let me get back. Hold on a second. I'm going to get back to our. Yeah. So what happens is that someone has to be have very severe symptoms to be tested in the United States. In other words, you have to have a very high fever, be choking to death, and then they'll give you a test. But if you're not at the point of death, then they don't test you. So anyway, I mean, it's not really a problem for me. The only reason I wanted to get tested was that I'm concerned with other people when I finally break my self isolation. With me, it's just like I'm out running around every day. Cabin fever and everything like that. So um, I just don't want to. We have a number of vulnerable people here, and once I actually get out and start mixing with people at the temple, then is a problem because we don't want people to get sick. So I don't know whether I'm carrying it. I don't really have any symptoms right now, but I might be carrying it and I might infect other people. So that's my concern. I don't want to feel guilty that I've killed some devotee, sent a devotee back to Godhead prematurely. So
Hare Krishna
so
Gurudev.
anyway, but the United States is really far behind on this whole thing, and it's crazy. I mean, there's all sorts of protests going on now where people are refusing to do all sorts of social distancing, and they're threatening people politically. I mean, it's a pretty interesting country. It's as they say in the national anthem, it's the land of the free, the home of the brave. But whatever. Anyway, I'm going to survive, and we'll see if you all survive. That's the question. So anyway, so we want to welcome you all to tonight's program, and we got a lot of people from New Zealand and
Hare Krishna Gurudev.
Hare Krishna in Australia, New Zealand, and who else do we have? Yeah, quite a few people, and America. Oh, Veda, it's good to see you.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj.
Okay, Draupadi,
Gurudev,
you're
can
the
I comment
nurse.
something
Hare
about the
Krishna
Don't
test?
don't
Gurudev.
the nurses and doctors on this call should not get too close to the camera because we don't want to infect everybody. You should, Draupadi, you should wear a mask during this whole thing.
Gurudev, can I comment something about the test you mentioned just now?
Yeah, comment, but we got to start in a second.
Okay, Gurudev. So basically, even if swab is positive and if we do not have severe symptoms, there is no treatment. And usually after 14 days, when the symptoms have resolved, virus is supposed to go out of the body. So after 15 days or so, you won't be infectious to others. I understand your concern, but
All
just
right,
as
you give me a guarantee. Write it down on paper and post a bond, and we'll guarantee that. Okay. So anyway, so we're here. I'm lamenting that I left Fiji because in Fiji I was enjoying life on the beach, but I'm here enjoying life on the internet.
Gurudev, did they
So
check your chest?
what?
Did they check on your chest, like listen to your chest?
Yeah, they saw Krishna there.
Then it's okay.
Instead of Rama and Lakshman and Sita, they saw Krishna and Radharani. So there's a real problem.
Okay.
Okay, let's get started. Don't worry about it.
Okay, Gurudev. Sorry.
I'm fine. Don't worry. Chant Hare Krishna. Be happy.
Okay, Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so I thought we'd do something fun tonight, and maybe we'll continue with it tomorrow night too. That I tell a story from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita about who the best devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is. It's from the first part of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, written by Sanatan Goswami. It's a real fun story. But first, we'll chant Jai Radhamadava as we normally do. So please bear with me. And so Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopi Jana Malaba Giri Baradhari Gopi Jana Malaba Giri Baradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunya Bihari Gopijana Malaba Girivardhari Gopijana Malaba Girivardhari Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jai Ho Radha Madhova Kunya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhova Kunya Bihari Jai Gaur Premananda Haribol. All glorious the assembled devotees. All glorious the assembled devotees. All glorious the assembled devotees. All glorious to Shi Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, at the end of this, we'll leave it open for questions. So, let me tell a little story or a big story. So, Omagana Timiranda Shah Gananjana Shalakaya. Chakshur Unminitam Yena Tasmai Shigadave Namaha. So here is the story from the Brihad Bhagavatamrita about who is the greatest recipient of Krishna's mercy. In other words, who is the best devotee of Krishna. It's good to know this because whoever is the best devotee of Krishna, we should seek their association. So here's the story. Once upon a time, there was a great king named Maharaj Janamajaya, and Janamajaya's guru was named Jaimini Rishi. And Jaimini Rishi actually had composed his own Mahabharat, which was considered by Janamajaya to be a better Mahabharat. And Janamanjaya, who was the actual son of Parikshit Maharaj, and remember Parikshit Maharaj died because he was bitten by a snake bird, and he was cursed by this little Brahmin boy, Shringi. So Janmanjaya, let me change the speaker view on this. So Janmanjaya asked Jaimini Rishi to tell him about the essence of what his father Parikshit heard from Shukadev Goswami. Of course, Parikshit Maharaj heard the Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukadev Goswami, and he heard it for 7 days. And Jaimini Rishi was going to explain the whole essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam in brief. So that's why it's called the Bhagavatamrita, the Amrit or the nectar from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So, in order to tell Janamajaya this story, Jaimini Rishi referred to a particular interaction that occurred between Parikshit Maharaj and Uttara. And what happened is when Parikshit Maharaj was cursed to die within 7 days, right when Shukadev Goswami finished, Uttara, his mother, asked him, please tell me what you heard. And he didn't have much time, so he had to tell it very, very quickly in essence. So here's what he told his mother about who is the greatest devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here's the story. Once upon a time, Narada Muni was looking for the greatest devotee of the Lord. Now, the reason Narada Muni was looking for the greatest devotee of the Lord is because Narada Muni wanted to serve the greatest devotee of the Lord. Obviously, if you serve the greatest devotee of the Lord, you get bhakti or love of Krishna very, very easily. Mahat seva mahurvi muktes. So the first thing he did is he went to a group of sages who were at Prayag. Prayag is a very holy place. And these sages were praising each other before a deity. And they were calling each other great devotees. And so at this particular location, another sage, a Brahmin, arrived and arranged for a worship of the Shalagram Shila, the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he actually paid for everything. He worshiped the other Brahmins. He fed everyone. And Narada Muni was watching this. And Narada Muni at this point thought, I finally found the greatest devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So one quality of great devotees is that the great devotees are humble. If you tell them they're a great devotee, they'll say, no, I don't have any devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I was just listening to a Prabhupada remembrance, and one time Prabhupada was giving a class in Sweden. And as he was giving a class in Sweden, he was seated on a very high seat, and he was discussing something called Varnashram Dharma. And in Varnashram Dharma, we have like first class, second class, third class, and fourth class. Not that people are lesser or greater than other people, but in other words, he was discussing Brahman, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. And one young boy got a little critical of Prabhupada, and that young boy said to Prabhupada that you think you are first class because you're sitting on a big seat. And of course, the devotees got pretty upset at this young boy. And Prabhupada very humbly said, very interestingly, he said, no, I am fifth class. Now, that's the humility of a great devotee. And Prabhupada said, I am fifth class. Why? Because I am serving everyone. Think about that for a second. You know, here's Prabhupada actually directly connected to Krishna, being able to speak directly to Krishna, and, the greatest devotee, as I would say. And he said fifth class because he considered himself to be a servant of everybody else. Pretty amazing. So you'll find this is a quality that is present. It's the common denominator in every great devotee of the Lord. They're considering themselves to be a servant of a servant of a servant of a servant, and they're never interested in their own aggrandizement. So this Brahmin, when he was praised by Narada Muni, said, no, there's actually a greater devotee than me. He's a king in South India, and he worships the deities and Brahmanas. And this king is so pious that the vegetables in his kingdom grow without any cultivation, and the rain is always proper. Now, of course, this is the same thing as what we would call Ram Raj. Ram Raj means the kingdom, basically the kingdom of God. Ram is the name of God, and one of the most important avatars of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And when the king or the president or the prime minister or whatever you may call the executive head of state is actually Krishna conscious, then everything goes well. There's no coronaviruses in that kingdom. Of course, there's no eating of meat either. That's another subject matter, which is actually the cause of all these different viruses. So this king was so pious that everything was perfect in his kingdom. So then Narda decides, let me go see this king. He must be the greatest devotee. And Narda goes to the king and he praises the king, embraces the king. And the king says, what are you talking about? I'm not a great devotee. I'm just simply a humble servant of a servant of a servant of the Lord, which I mentioned before is the proper consciousness of every great devotee. Narda said, yes, you're a great devotee, but please, if you think you're not a great devotee, tell me who's greater than you. And this king, he said, well, there is a particular entity in the higher planets. His name is Indra. And Indra is the greatest devotee. He's a great devotee. He has this wonderful elephant, Airarvata. Lord Vamana is his brother. Hmm. Actually, Vamana is called Upa Indra or Upendra, as you normally say. Upendra means like the younger brother of Indra. And he has the parijata flowers and everything like that. So Narada Muni, of course, we're describing Narada Muni, who has the ability to travel from one planet to another simply by chanting the names of the Lord. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur uh, states in his poem about Narada Muni Bhaja Vina Radhika Ramana Namane. So what happened is that Narada, by chanting the names of the Lord, traveled to the heavenly planets and saw Indra. And he basically started praising Indra. He said, you are the older brother of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead loves you. And you love Indra. You love the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You cry with your 1,000 eyes. I'm not going to describe why Indra has 1,000 eyes. It's quite embarrassing. And Narda kept praising him again and again and again. And Indra replied, you're making fun of me. I'm actually not a great devotee of the Lord. And he gave several reasons why he didn't consider himself to be a great devotee of the Lord. One reason was that basically uh, the he fought with the Supreme Lord. That is, he even fought with Krishna when Krishna wanted to take the Parijata uh, tree from the heavenly planets. And then he was defeated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He fought with Krishna and Arjuna when Krishna and Arjuna wanted to burn the Kandava forest. And there's many stories like that. And he said, I've done so many wrong things. I have so much spiritual trouble. Please do not consider me to be the greatest devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you want to meet the greatest devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, you go to Lord Brahma. He's actually the greatest devotee of the Lord. And of course, Lord Brahma is a pure devotee, greatest devotee of the Lord. He has a long life. And so, therefore, Narada Muni went to heaven. And in heaven, he saw Lord Brahma worshiping a form of the Lord known as the Mahapurusha. And Narada said to Brahma that you are the greatest devotee of the Lord. You're empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Brahma, when he heard this, he covered his ears, all of his ears. He has more than two. Covered all of his ears with his fingers. And he said, don't you remember this? Because remember, Lord Brahma is actually the father of Narada Muni. He said, I'm only interested in liberation. I am not actually a devotee of the Lord. I'm disqualified in so many ways. I give benedictions to demoniac personalities. I gave benedictions to Ranyakashipu. I gave benedictions to Ravan. I gave benedictions to so many rascals. And the demigods who I'm in charge of commit so many abominable activities. I stole the calves and the coward boys from Krishna. How can I be a great devotee? I couldn't even pacify Nrsimha Bhagavan when he appeared. And one of the demigods, Varuna, happened to capture and kidnap Nanda Maharaj, who was Krishna's father. And Yamaraj stole the son of Krishna's guru. This is not the quality, or these are not the qualities of a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you actually want to meet a great devotee, you go to see Lord Shiva. And he said, Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee of the Lord. He's always intoxicated with love, and he doesn't even take the trouble of putting clothes on. So, of course, that does not mean that Lord Shiva is a hippie. It's just that he's completely absorbed in Krishna and he doesn't notice anything of this world. Uh, so, therefore, Narada Muni became determined to go to see Lord Shiva. He played on his veena and he went to see Lord Shiva in Shivaloka. And Shivaloka is actually outside of the seven coverings of this material world. There's many expansions of Lord Shiva, like the Rudra expansions that exist within this world. But outside of this world, there's a Shivaloka. And when Lord Shiva saw Narada Muni, he embraced him. He was chanting and dancing together. And Narada Muni was so impressed with Lord Shiva, he started to chant the special mantra to Lord Shiva, which is known as the Shiva mantra, obviously, which is Om Namo Shivaya, 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 Shivaya Namaha. So Narada Muni tried to touch the feet of Lord Shiva. And Lord Shiva, feeling so angry, stopped him from doing that. But Narada kept glorifying him. He said, look, by your mercy, Banasura was saved. And you always give loopholes in your benedictions so the demons get killed. And he gave the example of Jayadrath's father. That's a story in the Mahabharata, of course. The Jayadrath had the benediction of whoever caused his head to fall to the ground would have his own head split in 1,000 pieces, or he'd self-immolate. Uh, so what happened is that when Arjuna killed Jayadrath, he caused the head of Jayadrath to go into the lap of the father of Jayadrath, and Jayadrath's father passed away in that way. And then Narada Muni glorified Lord Shiva for having his wife appear, that is Lord Shiva's wife, appeared as Krishna's sister. So, of course, that's Yogamaya, isn't it? Subhadra appeared as Krishna's sister. And Narada glorified Lord Shiva more. You give liberation. Uh, and you're the greatest devotee of the Lord. And of course, there are statements like that. Vaishnavanam yata Shambhu, that Shambhu is the greatest devotee. So Lord Shiva got so embarrassed at that point, he began to cover Narada Muni's mouth with his hands. And Lord Shiva countered Narada Muni's statements, and he said, how can I be a great devotee? Because I had to present impersonalism. Of course, that's as Shankaracharya. I fought against Krishna when Krishna was attacking Banasura. I fought against Krishna when Krishna was taking the Parijata flower from the heavenly planets. And you said I'm a great devotee because I give liberation, but the devotees hate liberation. Or there's that statement by Prabhupada Saraswati, Kaivalya Narakayate, that a devotee considers liberation to be hell. Now, why is that? Let me just unpack that statement for a second. That liberation from this material world, if one doesn't get bhakti, it means that one is in a situation where there's no activity, there's no personality, no relationships, and basically no consciousness. So who would want such a situation like that? And by nature, we're active. So we wouldn't want to be in a situation like that. So Lord Shiva grants this, which actually people who are demoniac like. So Lord Shiva was arguing with Narada Muni like this. Uh, and he says, even I do the worst thing is I destroy creation. Just like when you see something destructive happening in this world, it's a manifestation of Lord Shiva's potency. So Shiva said, the real devotees of the Lord are in Vaikuntha, and their bodies are spiritual. And he praised Vaikuntha up and down. And Lord Shiva said, I want to be in their company. But Parvati, his wife at that particular juncture, interrupted him. And she said, actually, the greatest devotee is Lakshmi. And of course, Lakshmi is the consort of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Lord Shiva, being afraid of disagreeing with his wife at this point, which many people are, uh, wanted to talk to Narada Muni in private. He said to Narada Muni, actually, I don't want to say this, I don't want to disagree with my wife, but actually, uh, Krishna is now in Dwarka. He's not in the spiritual world. But if you really want to see a great, great devotee, you should go to see Prahlad Maharaj, because Prahlad Maharaj was so great that he could pacify Nrsimha Bhagawan, whereas Lakshmi, the wife of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could not pacify Nrsimha Bhagawan. And he's such a great devotee that he refused all the benedictions that were offered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uh, we know the story that when Lord Nrsingadev killed Hiranyakashipu, he placed Prahlad Maharaj on his lap and he licked Prahlad Maharaj and he said, whatever you want, I'll give you. And Prahlad Maharaj, of course, replied, I am not a merchant. But ultimately, I do want something. I want you to save my father and I want you to help all living entities. He said, I'm full of compassion for all the souls in this world. So you should go to see Prahlad. And he's so great that all of his family has been blessed, like Bali Maharaj, and even Banasura was blessed because Banasura is the great grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. So Narada Muni just got very enthusiastic again, thinking, wow, now I'm going to see even a better devotee. So then he went to Sutala to see Prahlad Maharaj. Just let me change something here. I want to get the sound a little better. Okay, that's good. He went to Sutala to see Prahlad Maharaj, and he started to glorify Prahlad Maharaj. Exactly the same things I said before, that you've only asked for devotion. Lord Nrsingadev was licking your body, and one day, there's an interesting story in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita that Prahlad Maharaj, when he became the king, after he grew up, he went out and he met a sannyasi with weapons. That's not generally the case that a sannyasi has weapons. And the sannyasi challenged him to a fight. And he discovered that that sannyasi was actually Krishna. Krishna was exchanging ras with Prahlad Maharaj at that point. But he defeated Krishna. I'm sorry. Krishna won. Krishna won, but then Krishna made the statement to Prahlad Maharaj, I am always defeated by your devotion. So Narada Muni, who happened to be the spiritual master of Prahlad Maharaj, kept glorifying Prahlad Maharaj. But Prahlad Maharaj also exhibited extreme humility. And Prahlad Maharaj said, I only remember Krishna. That's all I do. I don't do anything practical. I'm very attached to my family. I have bad relatives, like Banasura. And as far as Bali Maharaj, Bali is kept down by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And you have Lord Vamana, it's just guarding him. to make sure he doesn't escape. He's so bad. And Prahlad Maharaj said, I have to travel to see Krishna. I only saw him once or twice. If you really want to see a good devotee of the Lord, you should go to see Hanuman. So Hanuman, of course, is the monkey devotee of Lord Ramchandra. Actually, not quite monkey. He's a Kim Purusha. Kim Purusha means, is it or is he a person? And he actually is a person, but he's not quite human. He's not quite monkey. Somewhere in between. So, therefore, Narada Muni went to Kim Purusha Loka to see Hanuman. And Hanuman was listening to the Ramayana with the Gandharvas and chanting the Lord's name. Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Raghupati, Raghava, Rajaram, Patita Pavana, Sita Ram. And Narada Muni glorified him. Actually, Hanuman was worshipping also a deity of Lord Ram in the temple and chanting the names of Lord Ram. And Narada Muni glorified him. And Narada Muni said, you rejected liberation, you rejected everything just to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Hanuman also objected to Narada Muni's praise. He said to Narada Muni, actually, how can I be a great devotee? Because Ram took everyone back to Godhead except for me. Because when Ram entered his pastimes in this material world, Ram told all the residents of Ayodhya, you can enter into the Sarayu River and go back to Godhead with me. And everyone went in, but Hanuman was not allowed to go in. And Hanuman was told, you stay in the material world as long as Ram's pastimes are being glorified. So Hanuman felt a little rejected. Of course, he wasn't rejected. We understand that. And others stayed in the material world too, like Vibhishan. But Hanuman was defending his humility. Hanuman glorified the Pandavas. And he kept jumping higher and higher and higher and glorifying Bhima, his brother, Arjuna, the great chariot warrior, great bowman. He stated that with Arjuna, he became the flag on Arjuna's chariot. In the Mahabharata, it mentions that when Hanuman was acting as the flag on Arjuna's chariot, Hanuman's roaring from the position of being the flag devastated many Akshahinis of the other army. So then when Hanuman began to glorify the Pandavas, everyone became eager. That means Hanuman and Narada became eager to go to Dwarka. But Hanuman remembered his relationship with Ram, and he thought, I can't go to Dwarka unless Ram actually tells me to go. And there was an actual story about that. That once upon a time, Krishna and Dwarka sent Garuda to bring Hanuman to see him. And Hanuman actually refused to go, and Garuda tried to drag Hanuman there, and Hanuman just flicked his tail, and Garuda went back, head over tail or head over wing or whatever it is, back to Krishna, and Krishna sort of chastised him and said, you were too proud. Now you should tell Hanuman that Sita and Ram want to see him. And Krishna took the form of Ram, and Rukmini took the form of Sita Devi. Okay, so after Hanuman glorified the Pandavas, Narada Muni decided to go to Hastinapur. So he flew to Hastinapur on the power of his mantra, Raghupati Raghava Rajaram, Patita Pavana, Sita Ram, Shri Ram. I'm sorry, Raghupati. That wasn't his mantra. I'm just thinking of Ram right now. Anyway, that wasn't the mantra. It just got me in the mood of Ram since I was thinking of Hanuman. Anyway, so Narada. Sorry about that. So Narada actually went to Hastinapur to see the Pandavas. And there he started to glorify the Pandavas. He said that you're so great that Krishna sanctified Draupadi's hair at the Rajasuya. He called Draupadi his dear friend. He protected you. Krishna protected you when Durvasa and his disciples came, and Krishna ate the little grain of rice, so Durvasa and his disciples were discouraged. He provided unlimited sari to protect Draupadi. He relished Vidura's porridge instead of taking food from Duryodhana. He arranged for Grandfather Bhishma's passing. He was there when Grandfather Bhishma left this world. And Krishna said, this is a statement, the Pandavas' friends are my friend, and the Pandavas' enemies are my enemy. So when Yudhisthira Maharaj heard this, he actually got very upset. He also did not like to get glorified. He said, look, we are not such great devotees. If we are great devotees, then why is it that if someone hears our stories, they lose faith in Krishna? Now that's interesting. Why would it be if someone hears the stories of the Pandavas that you would lose faith in Krishna? Because you can see how much difficulty the Pandavas were put into continually, one after the other, throughout their whole existence. And of course, we do have Kunti's prayers in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in which Kunti asks for more difficulties. She says, Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru. And she gives a reason for that, saying, Apunar Bhavadarshanam. In this way, we will not see repeated birth and death. So Yudhisthira goes on like this, says, if someone hears the Pandava's story, who's going to want to be like us if we're such great devotees? And the main problem is that after all these difficulties we went through, Krishna helped us, of course, he cheated us and left. So right now, we are thinking of dreaming up more difficulties so Krishna can come back. In other words, they wanted Krishna's presence so much that they were willing to accept more difficulties like Queen Kunti was. So, at that point, Yudhisthira Maharaj begins to glorify the Yadus. The Yadus, of course, are Krishna's family in Dwarka. So then Narada Muni decides to go to Dwarka. And chanting on his Veena, Radhiko Ramana Namane. Not Ram. It's actually funny how he's saying he's chanting Sita Ram. I guess sometimes he might chant Sita Ram, but Radhiko Ramana Namane. He was chanting on his Veena. And so Narada Muni goes to Dwarka to the Sudharma Assembly House. And as he gets there, he sees the Yadus all glorifying Uddhava. Uddhava is, of course, Krishna's right-hand man. He's the advisor to Krishna. He almost looks like Krishna. He has the Sarupya Mukti, which means he has the same form, basically, as the Supreme Personality of God. It's similar, not exactly everything the same. But Narada does not find Krishna. And he wants to go to see Uddhava, and they say Uddhava's not around either. Uddhava is at Krishna's house, because Uddhava is always with Krishna. So Narada Muni decides, let's go to Krishna's house to see the great devotees there. And on the way to Krishna's house, he's in so much ecstasy that he trips, he faints, and he actually does something that devotees do sometimes. He got spaced out. Not spaced out because he was in Maya, but spaced out because he was in ecstasy. That's one of the symptoms. That's one of the symptoms of transcendental ecstasy, is you just like lose external consciousness. It's also the symptom of being in the mode of ignorance too, but similar symptoms. So finally, he gets to Krishna's house and there's a problem. Krishna was sleeping. Now, Krishna normally doesn't sleep in the middle of the day or late in the day. And everybody was worried about him. And everybody means there was Uddhava there, Balaram there, Rukmini there, Devaki, Rohini, all the queens. and a particular interesting character known as Padmavati, who was Ugrasena's wife and also Kamsa's mother. Interesting. So you may ask, how did Ugrasena and Padmavati have Kamsa as a son? Well, what happened is that Ugrasena's wife, Padmavati, one time was seduced by a demon named Drumila, who came in the form of Ugrasena, and therefore Kamsa was born. So when Narada, getting back to the point, when Narada saw Uddhava, he started to glorify him. And Uddhava accepted this. Why did he accept this? Because he respected Narada Muni's words. Uddhava said, I'm actually feeling a little bit of envy of the Brajavasis, because the Brajavasis whom I visited when I was telling them that Krishna was coming were such great devotees of the Lord that all I thought when I saw them was that I wanted to become the dust of their feet, or under their feet, or I wanted to take birth as the creepers in Vrindavan. Then, at that point, Balaram's mother also glorified the Brajavasis, but says that Krishna never thinks of them. And Padmavati, who is criticizing the Brajavasis, says, Brajavasis, of course, means the residents of Vrindavan, where Krishna grew up, for those of you who don't know that, says the Brajavasis mistreated Krishna. They didn't give him any shoes. And of course, we know Krishna went out to the pasturing ground without shoes because he didn't want to be better than the cows. They didn't give him any good food. They punished him by tying him up with a rope to a grinding mortar. The whole Damodar story. And then Rukmini, the wife of Krishna, she actually says, no, Krishna is very attached to the residents of Vrindavan. Because at night, while he's apparently sleeping, he's crying out to the cows, the cowherd girls. He reaches for his flute. He assumes a threefold bending form. And he cries out, Mother, 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 bring me some butter. I was referring to Mother Yashoda. At this point, Krishna is still in bed. He pulls the bedding over his head like kids do, when they don't want to get up. And he doesn't get up. Krishna's other wife, Satyabhama, who's in a different mood than Rukmini, because Satyabhama is Bam. She's in a left-handed mood, which means she's an unsubmissive wife of Krishna. She's angry. She says, what are you talking about? Krishna only thinks of the residents of Vrindavan all the time. At night, he cries out the names of Radha, Chandravali, and she's feeling or exhibiting a mood of envy. And of course, we know in the Dwarka pastimes that Srimati Radharani becomes Satyabhama and Chandravali becomes Rukmini. They're in the same mood. And actually, we know that Krishna never leaves Vrindavan, but he can't be seen because the residents of Vrindavan are blinded by love of him, and Krishna has entered their hearts. Premanjana churita bhakti vilochanena shantakshadaiva hridayeshu vilokyanti yam shayan mashundara machincha gunaswarupam govinda maripurasham tamaham bhajami. Then Balaram pipes in, and he has another opinion. He says that Krishna is only pretending to love the Vaishnavas or remember the Vaishnavas. He only does this to entertain the Dwarka Vasis. That means the people who live in Dwarka. And the reason I'm saying this, Balaram says, is that I was 2 months in Vrindavan and I told the residents that Krishna was coming. And I asked Krishna to return, but still he did not. Balaram says that Krishna is very deceptive. Then finally Krishna wakes up, gets out of bed, he's weeping, he's feeling guilty for being so cruel to the Brajavasis. Krishna says, my heart is like a diamond not because it's valuable, because it does not split. I want to help these Brajabasis. Then there's a difference of opinion amongst the residents there. Devaki says the solution is to fulfill their desires and go back there. Padmavati says, no, this is not a good idea. Why don't we just send them money to pay for Krishna's expenses while he was there during his childhood? She's a little coddled, her brain is actually not working properly. She's like a comical character. Then Padmavati again says, yes, we can pay the Brajabasis. We'll just call for Gargamuni, and he can calculate how much we owe them for all of Krishna's stay there. And Krishna's hearing all this advice. He says, all right, Uddhava, you tell me what to do. And then Uddhava began to complain about Krishna's instruction to the Brajabasis, because Krishna sent an instruction to the Brajabasis through Uddhava was simply meditate on me, or meditate on me as this super soul. Then Padmavati sort of interrupts Uddhava and says, actually, the only reason they want Krishna to go back is they need someone to take care of the cows and do the hard work. Then Krishna finally says, I'm going to write a letter to them promising I'm going to return. Uddhava stopped him and said, you have to return to Vrindavan. Padmavati starts to interfere with this whole thing. And Rohini yells at her. Balaram begins to cry. He tells Krishna to return. He says, Govardhan has shrunk from your separation. The Yamuna is dry. And this is such a mood of intense emotion that's been manifest that Balaram and Krishna start rolling on the ground, feeling separation and lamentation and crying loudly. And this loud crying is so loud that it actually fills the whole universe. And Lord Brahma even comes, and he starts crying too. And Garuda comes, and he starts crying too. Finally, Lord Brahma has a solution. He says to Garuda, take Krishna and Balaram to this replica of Vrindavan. It's called Nava Vrindavan, which in English means New Vrindavan. It's not the New Vrindavan in the United States, fortunately. But there's a replica of Vrindavan that's been constructed by Vishwakarma on the shore of the ocean near Dwarka. And anyway, Lord Brahma tells Garuda to take Krishna and Balaram there. And actually, there's all these different deities or dolls, replicas of the residents of Vrindavan, except for Rohini and Balaram, who go along with Krishna to this new Vrindavan on the back of Garuda. So everybody else goes too, but they're watching. So Narada Muni and Garuda in the air, Garuda shades Krishna, and Balaram, who is actual Balaram, not a doll at this particular point, places a flute in Krishna's hand, a peacock feather on his head, and he gives him a stick, a forest outfit, a buffalo horn, and some gunjamala. Those are those little berries. You see the red and white berries sometimes you see the deities have. So Krishna wakes up in such a condition, or gets to external consciousness in such a condition, and he tells his parents, or the dolls of his parents, that's Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, that he had a dream that he had become the king of Dwarka and he was killing demons. He said, thank God I woke up from that dream. And Rohini, who was the actual person at that point, gives him some food, and he sees a deity or a doll of Srimati Radharani. And, of course, this doll doesn't talk to him, and he thinks that she is angry with him because he had a dream of marrying 16,108 girls. That she's envious. So, anyway, so he jokes with these gopi dolls, and he tells them about the same dream. And Rukmini, who's also there, and Jambavati watching the whole thing, faint. They're watching from behind the bushes or something like that. And even Padmavati becomes attracted, and Satyabhama, who are also watching from behind the bushes, they become attracted to Krishna in Vrindavan, or Krishna in the mood of Vrindavan, and rush to actually embrace Krishna. Even Padmavati begins to experience some conjugal attraction, which is kind of funny. But they're stopped by Kalindi, who holds them back. Finally, Krishna and Balaram, they go to this imitation Yamuna, but Krishna notices it's different because he sees Dwarka on the other side of this so-called Yamuna, and the so-called Yamuna is just the Bay of Dwarka. And Krishna comes back to reality. That's interesting. Krishna comes back to reality. And Garuda takes him and Balaram back to Dwarka. And Padmavati is just trying to stir up envy between the wives of Krishna. We're getting to the end of the story, don't worry. It's quite an intense, complicated story. And Rukmini glorifies the residents of Braj because she sees Krishna's great devotion for the residents of Braj. She says that we are simply obsessed with our family. We are worshiping him in reverence. But actually, the residents of Vrindavan are able to deal with Krishna in an intimate way. But Satyabhama, who I mentioned before, has this unsubmissive mood in relationship to Krishna, gets really angry. Not only does she go angry, she goes into a special room in her palace, because she's a queen, and she starts pounding on the floor, like people do sometimes when they're throwing a fit. And Krishna calls for her. And Krishna's angry with her for showing her anger. Of course, this is also an exchange of love. This is not simply mundane anger. He calls her in terms of her father, or in relationship to her father. He calls her Satrajiti. Now, it's interesting, when you're angry at someone, you don't call them by their direct name, you call them by someone else who's related to them. For example, if someone has children and they're angry with their son, for example, they'll call their son, when they're talking to their husband, let's say if it's the wife, she'll say, guess what your son did? That's a symptom of anger towards a person when you don't refer to them directly. That person, guess what your son did? Guess what your grandson did? So Krishna is angry with Satyabhama for being angry like that. And he glorifies the Brajavasis, and he explains why he doesn't go back to Vrindavan, because if he went back, they'd always be thinking of when he would leave again. It would be more painful for them. They'd always be in anxiety, intense anxiety. He also says that the only reason I married Rukmini and you was because you reminded me of my girlfriends in Vrindavan. He said, I did not plan to get married. I planned to remain a brahmachari, which is interesting. But when I got that note from Rukmini, who was getting married or supposed to get married to Shishupal, I knew I had to rescue her. So therefore, I got married to Rukmini, and now I'm married to Satyabhama and so many other queens. So, anyway, so then Krishna becomes calm after this point. Narada Muni enters. Krishna thanks Narada Muni and explains that separation, or the mood of separation, is the greatest pleasure in spiritual affairs. And Narada, this is the end, of course, don't worry, we're finished on time. Narada asks for benedictions, and from Krishna, after seeing this, understanding that the gopis are the greatest devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the residents of Vrindavan are the greatest devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Narada asks for 3 benedictions from Krishna. He says, my first benediction is that I wish that I will never feel that I have enough of your mercy, Krishna. The second benediction I want is that I may always wander describing, chanting your glories, and spread your glories everywhere. Radhika Ramana Namane, as Narada Muni has that benediction. And the third one is anyone who comes in contact with these pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead will experience pure love of Krishna. Whew, amazing story. Then Krishna sat down and took lunch prasad with Narada Muni. Narada Muni returned to Prayag, where he met the sages to begin with, and he enlightens the sages as to who is the greatest devotee or who are the greatest devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the story ends with Parikshit Maharaj glorifying the gopis. And Parikshit Maharaj, who is speaking to his mother, Uttara, at this particular point, and this is being related by Jaimini. Remember how we started the whole thing, to Janamajaya. So Parikshit Maharaj explains why the gopis are not mentioned so much by name, especially Radharani's name is not mentioned by Shukadeva Goswami in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And the reason is that Shukadeva Goswami was the greatest devotee of Radharani. He's known as Shuka. Shuka, of course, means parrot, and he's called a parrot, or has a parrot's name. He's not a parrot in this particular expansion or incarnation. But he's called Shuka because by touching the Vedic literatures, especially the pastimes of the Lord, he makes them sweeter. Like a parrot, Prabhupada would give this example, when a parrot pecks on a particular type of fruit like a mango, it ripens quicker and it becomes sweeter. So Shukadeva Goswami makes the Vedic literatures sweeter by his presentation. And in addition to that, in his last incarnation, he was Srimati Radharani's parrot. So the final recommendation that Parikshit gives to his mother, Uttara, is take shelter of the gopis. That is the ultimate instruction. They are the greatest devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, that's the story for tonight. I know it's a little complicated story, but it's a beautiful story. And anyway, that's tonight's story. So, does anyone have any questions on this? We got a lot of people joining us tonight. Any questions or comments? It's a complicated story. If you want to read the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, you'll hear more details about this story. So I think Tulsi has a question.
Okay, you're speaking about.
For those of you who don't know Tulsi, because many of you don't, let me introduce each of these devotees as they speak, because we got devotees from all around the world. So Tulsi, I don't want to say you're an old devotee. Anyway, she's a little old. A little old. But she came to New Goloka. We started New Goloka here, and you'll see the deities behind me. This is actually a backdrop or whatever. It's a green screen. We started New Goloka in 1982. So she came to New Goloka in 82, didn't you? The end of 82.
The week you moved on the property.
Okay. So when we moved on to the property here, we were camping out for the first 2 or 3 years without any running water or any amenities like electricity or anything like that. And that means going through the winter where we had to walk on ice, basically. Take baths outside, use a hole in the ground as a toilet. And she did that austerity and did Sankirtan, distributed Srila Prabhupada's books for many years to support the project. So she's actually done quite a bit of service. Anyway, we're very thankful to her. And now she's heading up our project to reach out to young people, so she's young at heart, hopefully. So you have a question?
Yes. So you were speaking how the devotees were feeling themselves so humble, and then they'd always refer and deflect off to another devotee they felt was greater and gave all the reason. So how's that for us who are kind of, way down there? how can we not just be discouraged, especially if someone's just starting off and they're getting used to how Krishna works with you, and so you're not.
Are those new glasses?
These are old ones because my other one's broke.
All right. So, as you see, because I'm in isolation, I haven't seen these devotees, even though they live very close for a while. So how to get discouraged, how to avoid getting discouraged is the question. When you hear about everyone thinking they're not, because the real ecstasy, I'll tell you, the real ecstasy is having loving relationships with people and with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The ecstasy isn't considering yourself to be the best. When you consider yourself to be the best, that causes anxiety because you got to keep up with it.
Yep.
Like if I was to say, I'm a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of God, I mean, that's a pretty high bar to jump over. And I'd be in anxiety all the time trying to put on an act like I was a great devotee of the Lord. So it's better. It's actually much more blissful just to consider yourself to be a servant of the Lord and love the Lord. Isn't it? I mean, it's not discouraging. I think it's actually a relief that I don't have to be the best at anything. Does that
Well,
make
at least
sense?
sometimes people can how Maya, you give an inch, takes a mile. You start thinking, oh, I'm just so fallen. I've done so many bad things.
Well,
And
no. That obviously you don't want to just think negatively about yourself. You think just think lovingly. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you shouldn't be thinking more of yourself. In other words, true humility means not to think less of yourself, but to think of yourself less. Does that make sense?
mm-hmm.
And to glorify others. There's more pleasure in glorifying others than to hear your own glorification.
Yeah, it works
Okay.
amazing.
You look like you're enjoying life. Anyway, devotees aren't supposed to enjoy life.
Hey, I'm picking weeds in the garden. This is a break.
Okay, pull out
Delightful
some
break.
weeds in your heart. Okay, so who else has a question? Put yourself on mute. Question. We got a lot of devotees here from all over. Question, comments, arguments, problems.
Hare Krishna
Yes.
Gurudev.
Okay, Radhaleka, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So Lord Vamanadev, he has his own planet, like in Vaikuntha, and I was thinking at the same time he's in Sutala planet guarding Bali Maharaj, and then at the same time is he in the heavenly planet? He's a brother of
Yes.
Indra.
Yes, all three, at least all three simultaneously. And that's only within this one universe. Because Lord Vamanadev is also appearing in other universes, just like Krishna appears in each and every universe. And that means Krishna's in unlimited universes and Lord Vamanadev's in unlimited universes. So that's the nature of the Supreme Lord. He can appear in unlimited forms, in unlimited places, simultaneously. Whereas we can appear in one place at one time. That's about it. That's only if we're fully conscious. And if we're not fully conscious, we can't even appear in one place. So, other questions? Wow, no other questions. A
Gurudev,
lot of people. Yeah.
Guru Maharaj,
Okay.
like in spiritual world, do the devotees of Krishna change roles for the pleasure of Krishna?
Do devotees change roles? What do you mean by that? Can you unpack that for a second?
Like there are devotees of Krishna in the spiritual world who always glorify Krishna and serve him. But at the same time, if Krishna wants them, or do they have the specific duties or specific jobs to do or the services to do?
Jobs.
I mean, their services. And do they switch
So, yeah,
roles?
they check in the morning for work, and then they come back. And during the coronavirus, they just do their jobs online for Krishna.
My question was basically, do they keep the same mood of service and always keep serving, serving, serving? Or do they
They're in
change?
love. They're in love. Just like just like before you got married, you were in love, and then that being in love, that mood continues eternally. So the problem with falling in love in this world, now whether we want to criticize that, is that it just, it's there for a little while, then after a while you settle down to just like regular life. Oh, we're married. Okay. We do this service. Okay. Here's our daughter. Okay. She's okay too. Anyways, sometimes I know it's not the case with you, but sometimes I was one time I was speaking to a couple that had been married for like 50 years, and I said, "Boy, you must really love each other." And they looked at each other and said, "No, we just tolerate." So, I mean, it's not a criticism of anyone, but the point is that that same intensity that one feels when one just like falls in love, like, ugh. Now don't ask me, I don't know what it is, but the same intensity continues eternally for the great devotees of Krishna, for all the devotees, pure devotees of Krishna, and it's intense. I mean, the spiritual world is like being on an emotional roller coaster 24 hours a day. So you can imagine. It's up and down, but it's ecstatic. It's ecstatic. I mean, everyone is blissful because it's just like, just like I don't want to compare it to a Bollywood movie, but anyway, it's just like, I think you know what I mean. So, yeah, so they go on serving happily. They go on loving. I don't want to say just serving. They go on loving each other eternally, just in ecstasy, rolling on the ground in ecstasy. It's just like the whole thing is just like a drama, an intense, loving exchange that goes on forever and ever and ever. That's a spiritual realm. Okay, good question. Who has another question? I know it's a complicated story. I'm encouraging you all to read this book, the Brihad Bhagavatamrita. It's actually quite an interesting book. It has all the truths. One thing about the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, there's a second part too. One thing about it, this is the book that forms the basis of all the other Goswami literatures. It was written by Sanatana Goswami, and this book has all the truths of Krishna consciousness in a story form. And the other Goswamis took this book as their foundational book. Who was jumping out there? Anyway, I just saw someone in someone's video, someone jumping and doing jumping jacks. That's not so good during class. All right, so
No, that's one of our Krishna West people just drove up, and
okay, that's fine.
she's
It's
all
not you.
ecstatic.
It's not you. That's good. So
Can I ask a question?
you had your turn. Let's wait. Give someone else a turn.
Okay.
Who else has a question about this whole story?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
I just wanted to ask, what was the significance of Arjuna having Hanuman's flag in Kurukshetra?
All right. There's a whole story behind that. Once upon a time, Bhimsen happened to encounter Hanuman. And I think you know that story, don't you, from the Mahabharata? Or if you don't, I'll tell it. That Bhimsen was actually going to the heavenly planets to get a lotus flower for Draupadi. And on the way, he encountered this old monkey. And this old monkey had his tail lying across the path. And Bhimsen asked the old monkey to move his tail because Bhimsen didn't want to do the disservice of stepping over the old monkey's tail. So the old monkey said, "No, I'm too old. You got to move my tail for me." And Bhimsen tried to move the tail of the old monkey. The old monkey raised his tail, and Bhimsen was hanging in the air. And the old monkey revealed himself to be Hanuman. And Hanuman offered Bhimsen a benediction, and Bhimsen asked Hanuman to become the flag on the chariot of Arjuna. And that's how Hanuman, that's a Mahabharata story. It's not from the Ramayana, it's not from the Bkgoswami. And that's how Hanuman became the flag on Arjuna's chariot. So that's a story. Is that all right?
Thank you. Yeah, that's all right. Thank you, Guru Maharaj.
And Hanuman, it's described in the Mahabharata that Hanuman, as the flag, it was a personified flag, or personified Hanuman, and that Hanuman was roaring so loudly it just devastated. It was like a sound weapon, sonar weapon that actually destroyed the enemy forces.
So he contributed. There was
He
his
contributed.
contribution.
That was his contribution, yeah. That was his contribution to the Mahabharata war. Because Bhimsen was his brother. There's two famous brothers of Hanuman, three famous brothers who are sons of Vayu, and that's Hanuman, Bhimsen, and Madhvacharya. These are the three Vayu Putras that are mentioned in the Vedic literatures. And they're all very strong. Madhvacharya used to wrestle with his disciples as part of their seva. Quite an interesting guru, wrestling with his disciples. So, any other questions or comments?
I have a question.
Got devotees from Fiji, devotees from America, devotees from New Zealand, and devotees from Australia. Okay, who has the question now?
Me. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Veda. Hare Krishna.
I couldn't really hear like the end of your story, but I did hear the final end, but I guess I was who happened to be the greatest devotee? Was it the gopis?
That's the gopis in Vrindavan.
Okay, so that like includes Krishna's
That's
wife.
Radharani.
Radharani, okay.
And all the gopis.
Okay.
They're the greatest devotees.
Okay.
That's why when we chant Hare Krishna, we chant Radharani's name first. Hare refers to Radharani.
Mm-hmm. And that's
Go ahead.
That's Tulsi too, right? The plant is Radharani.
Well, Tulsi is an expansion of Radharani.
Okay.
In the spiritual world, she's a separate personality who's always serving Radharani.
Okay.
But she's also a gopi. I mean, there's many different gopis. There's unlimited numbers of gopis. You can also become a gopi. Would you like that?
I don't know what that means exactly.
I'll let you know later.
Okay.
That's good.
Thank you.
Actually, when we worship Tulsi Devi, we actually pray to become gopis. So it's interesting, even you have men praying to be ladies in the spiritual world. Become to serve the Sakis. Anyway, I'll give you the translation later. It's quite esoteric. Thank you for your question. It's a good question.
Thank you.
All right. Who else would like to ask a question? Anybody else? All right, we got a lot of people. Anyway, if no one else has a question, I think we'll end right now. This is a story from the Bkgoswami, part 1. You're invited to buy that book or read the book or read it online. I'm sure it's available online. And it brings out all the different aspects of the Krishna conscious philosophy. There's a part two, which we may get into in the next day or two, which is quite lengthy, much longer than this part. It would take 2 days to go through the whole part two. In the part two of the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, you find the travels of a particular individual named Gopa Kumar, who was a coward boy who was looking for his eternal relationship with Krishna, an eternal place where he can actually execute that relationship. It's quite an interesting literature. So, if no one else has a question, I think we will end now. Thank you very much. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Gaur Premananda.
Oh,